Okay, so there is one thing about this microphone that makes it not worth buying. I recommended this microphone in the past because I've had some positive experiences with it. But after doing a series of tests for this video, yeah, I can't confidently recommend this mic anymore. And that is the teaser that hopefully makes you stick around. If you can't tell, I'm a little stuffed up. I'm allergic to cats, and there's a cat here. Also, I broke my glasses. I broke my glasses by literally headbanging too hard. I'm not joking. Last night I headbanged way too much and they snapped. Okay, I'll shut up and get to the review. All right, so this microphone does have a lot of strong points to it, but it has one glaring weakness that makes it a lot less usable than a lot of other microphones in this class. See, if you're looking at this microphone, you're probably looking at the Behringer C1 or B1, and you're probably also looking at the AT2020. And the AT2020 specifically is no joke. That microphone is very good, and for the money, it is probably a little bit better than this microphone. Now, you could go used and get an arguably nicer microphone for less money, but we're going to talk about specifically how this thing compares to new microphones in its class. Now, there's a few things that I find with microphones in this class that are really important. First off, they have to have good room rejection. They need to typically have a pretty flat frequency response with an emphasis on the mid-range. I think the AT2020 is great at that. And they need to be able to control the high end without a large amount of sibilance. Now, this does have a little bit of sibilance. It's not the best in the world, but it's not overly harsh either. So again, good room rejection. It needs to have a flat frequency response, and it needs to handle the high end and needs to not have a lot of sibilance. And in a lot of ways, this microphone does deliver on those things. It has a hypercardioid polar pattern. It can get pretty good at rejecting the room around it. I did some tests. The back of the microphone is pretty decent at rejecting noise. In my opinion, and on my specific voice, although I am a little sick, I think it does have that mid-range presence to it that makes this microphone really solidified and pretty decent for voiceover in that way. Now, those are the pros, and if we're going to put something in the middle as not a pro or a con, let's talk about the frequency response. It doesn't go from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. It doesn't pick up every frequency that we can hear. It picks up from 40 hertz to 18,000 hertz. That means it's not going to pick up the super low lows, and it's not going to pick up the super high highs. Now, that's fine. I don't think anybody using this microphone for the majority of applications is going to need that level of sub bass. And I don't think anyone is going to need that level of air from 18K to 20K. It's neither a pro nor a con. Some of your favorite microphones don't pick up the full range of human hearing. But one thing that we're going to get back to in a little bit is that shelf on the high end of this microphone. From like 7K to 18K, this thing's boosting a decent amount of high end, a few dBs worth. Now, when you combine that with the main glaring weakness of this microphone, you have a recipe for an unideal recording situation. Now, the cons. One tiny one. The lack of onboard features, okay? That's not a big deal. I don't think that many people even use onboard features on microphones, but it doesn't have any cuts, doesn't have any pads. It's just a mic. So is my Rode NT1 though, which we're gonna see here in a second. The main con, the big thing, the big boy, the self noise. Now this microphone, I couldn't find the actual statistics for the dBA self noise this has, but it's evident that it's pretty loud. It doesn't take much. Put on some headphones, crank up the volume, you can hear the hiss pretty easily. I'll shut up to show you. Now, let's go back to that high-end boost that it has in like the 7K to 18K range. That's boosting a pretty significant chunk of the frequency range that contains that hiss. So not only is the self-noise pretty bad, but the inherent frequency response of this microphone seems to be boosting it even further. It is by far the most hiss I've heard on a microphone on anything I've tested so far, to the point where I'm wondering if my specific model is wrong. Is it just kind of broken? But I mean, I've heard it from other reviewers too, say the same thing, so I'm not alone in this. Now, it should also be noted I'm not using the best preamps. I'm using an AudioBox USB, an old interface that I use whenever I travel. When you combine maybe not the best quality preamps with this level of self-noise, you get a level of noise to your signal that makes it very hard to process. If you add anything in the high end, if you add even a medium amount of compression, that self-noise is going to be far more evident than it is now on the raw signal. Now, we're going to compare it to the Rode NT1, which is known for being an extremely quiet microphone, and it is, so you can hear for yourself the difference in self-noise from these two microphones. And then from there, we're also going to do a test on a guitar, so you can hear how these sound on guitar. Let's go to the Rode NT1. All right, so we're with the Rode NT1 now. It is known for being one of the quietest microphones in this budget class or even at all. The other one being the Rode NT1A, its sibling. So now there are a few things that I actually think are better on the Samson C01. So I don't want to just trash talk that microphone. I think it has better room rejection than the Rode NT1. I also think it has more controlled sibilance. The tss, tss. The S sounds on the Rode NT1 over the time I've had it, I've noticed are pretty bad. So I have a ton of reviews on the Rode NT1. I also have a bunch of videos showing how it compares to a bunch of other microphones. I'm not going to go over the entire spec sheet today. The Rode NT1 in general performs better than the Samson C01 in almost every category beyond room rejection and sibilance. So if you are genuinely looking at these two microphones, or maybe you came because you're looking for the Rode NT1A, I would recommend the Rode NT1A or the Rode NT1. It's not a hard comparison for me. But just for the sake of learning about microphone self-noise and hearing what an extreme example sounds like, I'm going to give a little vocal sample on this and then also on the Samson C01. First off, let's just hear the silence. Now let's do a voiceover. So I wanted to let you know, pinned at the top of this video is an affiliate link where you can purchase the Rode NT1 or the Samson C01. If this review happened to make your decision on which microphone to buy, you can use those links down below. That's how this channel is supported for the time being. That's how this channel makes money. So if you happen to make a decision on one of these two microphones using this review, I would appreciate it if you used those links. Also, after more of a direct comparison between these two, I can tell you that the Rode NT1 is also much more flat. This thing says it's flat, but I can tell that it does have that high boost, but it also has the mid-range. It is kind of lacking in the really low end. So let's go check out the guitar test so you can see how these things sound on an instrument. And folks, that was all. I hope that was helpful. Remember, the affiliate links are pinned in a comment down below. If you happen to make a decision on one of these two microphones, you can follow me on Instagram at AudioHaze. And if you'd like to work on a mixing project, or if you would like mixing lessons, you can email me at this email address here. And with that, I will see you in the next video, which I think it might be a video where I've actually moved into my new apartment and I have like an actual place to stay for a consistent amount of time. I'm looking forward to that. I sound so congested. Okay, goodbye.